In this presentation, I'll discuss elections. We all are familiar with the idea of democracy. Democracy is a form of government in which power ultimately comes from the people. Today, the most common form of democracy is representative democracy, in which citizens elect representatives to make political decisions and formulate laws. Election is the most visible symbol of the democratic process. It is the mechanism for translating the consent of the people into governmental authority. Elections provide a way for the citizens to choose their leaders. They do so by casting their vote in favor of the candidate or party whose views appeal to them. Elections are also a platform for the public to voice their displeasure against a ruling party. They can vote out the ruling party and elect a different government. This way, citizens demonstrate that they possess ultimate authority. Voting is the most prominent form of political participation. Participation in electoral process involves much more than just voting. Citizens are also free to contest the elections either independently or by forming a new political party. Elections are held at regular intervals. The ruling parties are kept in check. They are accountable for their performance. This works as a self-corrective system whereby political parties review their performance and try to satisfy the voters. During election campaigns, political parties issue manifestos. Rallies and meetings are also held. All these activities make citizens more aware and vigilant, and also ensure that the government functions according to the will of the people. There are different ways to organize an election. Different countries use different voting systems. There are generally three types of election systems. First, simple majority system, or otherwise known as the first past the post system. It is an electoral system in which the candidate with the highest number of votes is declared elected. As in India, we elect the members of Lok Sabha through this system. The second method is majoritarian system, or otherwise known as two-round system. In this system, on the election day, voters vote for their preferred candidate. If the candidate wins 50% of the vote, he is elected. Otherwise, a second round of election is held, usually 2 or 3 weeks later. And in the second election, only the top two candidates who were able to secure highest number of votes in the first election are allowed to contest. The third method is proportional representation. It is an electoral system where the parties are awarded a number of seats in proportion to the percentage of votes each received. Now, let us discuss the main two systems: first past the post system and proportional representation. First past the post system can be used for both single and multiple member constituencies. In a single member constituency, the candidate with the highest number of votes is elected. In a multi-member constituency, each voter casts the same number of votes as there are positions to be filled. For example, if there are 3 vacancies, then voters cast up to 3 votes, and the 3 candidates with the greatest number of votes are elected. In this system, a country is divided into constituencies. For example, India is delimited into 543 constituencies on the basis of population. In these constituencies, candidates usually represent a different political party. In the individual constituencies, the candidate who gets the most votes get elected. If a party wins over 50% of the seats, it can form a majority government. If no single party wins over 50% of the seats, then either the party with the most seats can form a minority government or a coalition government can be formed. For example, in 1991, no party got the required majority of 273 in the Lok Sabha. However, Congress, which got 244 seats, formed a minority government. Other countries using the first past the post system include United Kingdoms, Canada, Brazil, Pakistan, Philippines. The first past the post system is easy and simple to understand. Voters do not need specialized knowledge of politics and elections. Voters have to simply choose a candidate or a party while voting. It is economical as compared to other voting methods. Results can be declared relatively quickly as the winning candidate is the one who secures the highest number of votes in that constituency. This system offers voters a choice not simply between parties but also between specific candidates. In a parliamentary democracy like India, the government requires a majority in the legislature for stable government. And this system allows the largest party or coalition to form a government with a majority. It also encourages representatives of different communities to win elections. For example, the first past the post system represents diversity of India with candidates appearing from different backgrounds. However, there are certain drawbacks of this system. A candidate is elected even if he gets one more vote than the runner up. Often, it could happen that the winning candidate does not obtain more than 50% of the polled votes. For example, say there are 100 voters in a constituency. Candidate A receives 35 votes. Candidate B gets 20 votes. And candidate C and D receives 30 and 15 votes respectively. Candidate A wins with 35 votes and represents the constituency. This means that a candidate who got just 35% votes, that is less than 50% of the total votes, won the election. And majority of the electorate do not find representation in the elected body. Now, let us discuss the second drawback. An elected representative is supposed to serve the people of the entire constituency. But voters who do not vote for the winning representative often go unattended. Let us take the same example which I just gave. Candidate A, who got just 35% votes, was elected. So most probably, the interest and views of the 65% voters who did not vote for him would go unattended, because the elected representative tends to pay more attention to those who voted for him. Moreover, the political parties that get less than 50% of the total votes polled win most of the elections. As in India, political parties that got less than 50% of the votes, most of them won the Vidhan Sabha as well as Lok Sabha elections, ever since the first general election in 1952. Let's take up one more example. The BJP-led NDA won majority in 2014 Lok Sabha elections. The BJP alone won 282 seats. It got 31% of vote share but secured 52% of seats. Whereas the Congress party with 19% of vote share got only 8% of seats. This shows that in the first past the post system, a party does not get seats in proportion to the percent of votes it gets. It excludes smaller parties from fair representation. They secure less percent of votes, hence less percent of seats. Now, let us discuss another system of elections, that is proportional representation. This system tries to reduce the gap between a party's share of the vote and its share of the seats. In this system, if a party wins 40% of the votes, it would win approximately 40% of the seats. It is regarded as being most democratic than majority voting systems like first past the post system. This is because every single vote will count towards the number of seats a particular party ends up winning. Minority parties also get representation. In this system, the entire country is made as one constituency, or there are multi-member constituencies. That is, more than one member is elected from a constituency. There are two major types of proportional representation system. They are list system and single transferable vote system. In the list system, there are multi-member constituencies. More than one candidate is elected from a constituency. In it, each party prepares a list of candidates according to the number of seats to be filled in. On election day, voters are given a ballot paper which contains a list of parties. The voters vote for the party and not for any candidate. Winning candidates are taken from the lists in order of their position on the list. Parties receive seats in proportion to their overall share of the vote in the constituency. For example, there are 100 votes polled and 2 seats are to be filled. Then the party must get at least a quota of 50 votes to get a seat. List system is used in the Netherlands, Israel and many more countries as it is one of the most popular way to elect representatives. The other kind of proportional representation system is single transferable vote system. It has been suggested by political scientists as one of the most attractive electoral systems, but its use has been limited. In this system, there are multi-member constituencies. Rather than one person representing everyone in a small area, bigger areas elect a small team of representatives. These representatives reflect the diversity of opinions in the area. On election day, voters number a list of candidates. Their favorite as number 1, their second favorite number 2, and so on. Voters can put numbers next to as many or as few candidates as they like. Parties will often stand more than one candidate in each area. To get elected, a candidate needs a set number of votes known as the quota. The people counting the votes work out the quota based on the number of vacancies and the number of votes cast. Each voter has one vote. In the first counting, only the first preference votes are counted from the ballot papers of each voter. If the seats are filled by first preference votes, then the counting is over and the result is declared. For better understanding, let us take the example given in the quota, which says that 200 voters are going to elect 4 representatives. The required quota to win is 41. So, if 4 candidates get the required quota, that is 41 votes after first counting, then counting is over. And suppose if only one candidate gets the required quota, then there would be another counting of votes. The votes given to the winning candidate in excess to the required quota are then transferred to the candidate who was marked number 2 by most of the voters. This transfer goes on till all seats get filled according to the required quota. Now, let us compare first past the post system and proportional representation. In the first past the post system, the country is divided into small constituencies and each constituency elects one representative. Voters vote for a candidate and the winning candidate is the one who secures the highest number of votes in that constituency. Hence, a party may get more seats than votes in the legislature. In proportional representation system, the entire country may be a single constituency or more than one representative may be elected from one constituency. Voter votes for the political party and to win more than 50% of votes are required. Hence, every party gets seats in proportion to the percentage of votes that it gets. First past the post system is simple voting system, whereas proportional representation is a complex system. In India, we use the first past the post system to elect members of Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies. And we also use proportional representation system for electing Rajya Sabha and state legislative council members, president and vice president in India. Different voting systems have a variety of different features. Like the first past the post system is more stable, whereas the proportional representation system is more representative. The reasons why any government or nation arrives at a particular electoral system are complex, influenced by its unique history, beliefs, and technology. However, what is important is voting. It is not only our fundamental right but duty. To conclude, I would like to say Abraham Lincoln's idea and philosophy of democracy, that is, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, can be translated to reality only through voting.